Computer. Awesome. Welcome everyone to class number 10, Blooming Potential, the Magic of Creativity, and saying yes and growing past insecurities and into our blooming potential, which is perfect this week because we are landing on spring. And I just think it's a beautiful analogy, growing past our fears. I know in a lot of classes, there's this focus on fears and blocks, like what stops our creativity. And for tonight, I think we're going to put that aside. Notice that fears come up, but we're not going to name them tonight. In fact, we are going to grow around them and past them, and by doing so, reaching our full potential. And I have a little story to start us off with before we do our written part. And I was thinking Sunday before I did our class, I was thinking back about my Camino hike in Spain, which was walking 800 kilometers across Spain. And I did that over 5 weeks. And when I started that trek, I didn't begin it by preparing. In fact, most people don't. There's a lot of people that think that they're going to train, but but how do you train to walk 30K a day when you're working full time and there's just not the time in the day to do so? I think I walked 10K once before I went on the hike. So for me, it was, how do I move forward towards a goal, towards this happened to be a goal, but you can think of it as a creative process as well, and sort of sidestep fear. And I did this little diagram I wanted to share. It's so cute. So many people, I know quite a few people, including myself. So say we have this mountain to climb, and physically this was our Camino. But what if that is also represents a goal, or perhaps your creative process to get to the top, to get to where you're going, so you can say you did it. You could be this person that's like, I can't really start until I perfect my craft, or some fear bubbles up, and you say you're not ready for it, so you kind of circle back, and in your mind it's like, well, how can I prepare, what can I do, or I'm not ready yet, so then you circle back again, or I'm not certain I can do this, or even if I want to do this, and you end up circling back again. So it's pretty obvious you kind of get just stuck in wondering how you even begin. Like, how do you begin? Or like I did on the Camino, and how I do in every creative journey I embark on, and especially in my art process, there's a lot of times I don't have a plan on where my art piece is going to go, and fear will come up, but fear does come up, and then I get curious about it. Well, what if I can approach it this way? And then so you start to climb the mountain with fear, and you get curious about it, and you just do it anyway, right? And then your next step, well, you do that step and you look back and go, that wasn't so scary, and you're still moving, you're edging forward a little bit at a time, and it's like, I'm not sure about that. So you have the same questions, but you move forward anyway. You do that step anyway. And then you look back and, oh, look what I learned just by doing that. Fear will come up. And then again, you sort of step and continue to grow around that. Self-doubt, might pop in, but then you're just going to do it anyway. And before you know it, you get up here and you look back and go, holy crap, look at how far I've come. So I've had the same questions, the same fear, the same doubt, but instead of not doing something about it, or moving forward, you do it anyway, regardless. And before you know it, you do reach the top. I just love that little diagram. I hope you can relate to it and sort of connect to what it is I'm saying here. I'm going to put in the chat box. There's a note here that I'm going to copy and paste, and oh, I can't do that. Oh, I wonder if I go Control V. I'm gonna have to figure this out. I tried to do it on Sunday and I pre-typed in everything. And then when everyone joined me, they weren't able to see it. And so I thought it'd be smart tonight and copy and paste, but I don't see. Oh, there's a paste. Okay, let me try that. Edit, paste. Oh, there it goes. Awesome. Okay, so there's just some words there that you might want to jot down before we do this little exercise that we're going to do. So, what helps us grow past fear? The creative process is just that. It's a process. You start, and there's a start and a whole bunch of little middles until you get to the end. And so, some of the things that have come up for me, and you might want to sort of just jot some of these words down for our writing prompt. But patience comes up, perseverance, compassion, and acceptance. Those are some of the words that come up for me. And I'm just going to read out loud for those of you who are listening to this taped version. Saying yes to the creative process, we are developing skills that we can use in all areas of our life. So, flexibility, just jot some of those words down. Intuition, risk taking, confidence, playfulness, open mindedness, patience, resourcefulness, and acceptance. And then I also sprinkled in there trust, belief, and I think I said confidence and inspiration are some of the things that help me grow past fear in my creative process. Now, when I say creative process, I'm not just even talking about art. Certainly, art journaling over the last 10 weeks, we, if you even if you don't realize it, have been developing some of these qualities. And I feel like it's in any sort of creative process that we choose to stick with and allow ourselves to develop during the process, whether it's even like preparing a dinner party, cooking, all of these are creative processes. Or even like goal situations or creating a business for entrepreneurs out there. All of these things are when we stick to it and do little steps at a time, we're actually developing qualities that we can apply to our lives. And I just want you to take a few moments and just like one more minute and think of any of these skills that you've developed, any that we haven't mentioned here today over the last 10 weeks. Just think about that just for 1 minute. And if there's one or two words that you can add to that list, before we do our journal prompt, just write them down. What has helped you grow past fear? What skills have you developed over the last 10 weeks in our art journaling creative process? You're welcome to borrow some of these concepts as well. But I know even for me, I find especially the Sunday mornings, it really gives me energy. Doing art journaling at the beginning of my day just gets this thought flow happening, and it has given me more energy. Um, and personally, is building creative skills. Even as a fine artist that works in acrylic paints, doing these small details helps balance me out. Doing large paintings with big brush strokes, sometimes entertaining the mind with these small little detailed, even playing with color with magazines and cutouts, that is all filling my well of creativity. So it certainly has built my skills over the last 10 weeks. And it also clears my head and heart space just by the little gentle journal prompts that have bubbled up. And again, doing that meditative expression in the art page in itself has really allowed my head to sort of just dump and clear, and my heart just sort of settle into that process. So if you would like to type in the chat box, if there were any other extra skills that came to mind for you that we haven't already mentioned, if you want to share that in the chat box, and I will verbalize them for everyone just so that we can offer a sharing and perhaps add to the lists um, that we're doing here tonight. And again, I'll just read them off. Nicole says self-compassion and acceptance has been a skill that she has enjoyed. Relieve stress. Yes, thank you, Dara. I know, same with me. And even though Sunday morning you feel like you would wake up fresh, I felt like it did. It just kind of anchored me and allowed me to breathe space into my Sunday before it began. Carrie says curiosity, courage, compassion, and contemplation. Absolutely. Thank you. Nancy, showing up, sitting at my desk or at the starting point. That's such a good one, isn't it, Nance? Just even showing up. I know this analogy came up to me when I was practicing to run and even just hiking, just opening the back door, the act of just, even when I didn't want to hike or run that day, just opening the back door with looking at my running shoes at the door and just opening the door and going, inhaling that beautiful warm air, going, yes, it's inviting me. So just showing up to that first step, and then that will lead you to the next one. So I love that. Okay. Gail says, okay, what does this mean? Gail Conte, Conte. Am I saying that right? Is that a French word? Help me out.
I was going to type contemplation, but you
Oh,
mentioned
okay.
Tammy's right at the same time. And I tried to erase it, but I guess I
Oh,
didn't.
that's okay. I'm
Yes.
being brave because you know what? One of my fears, believe it or not, as a facilitator, this going back years ago, that I felt like I didn't have enough vocabulary to be a leader.
Yeah.
Like I had there's a lot of big words that I'm really intimidated by. And I just started to own that. So it's like, okay, well, I'm not sure what that word means. So we're gonna all learn together. So you gave me a chance to practice stepping in and not being embarrassed. So I love it.
I guess for me, the biggest thing is persistence. Just
Right.
don't, and don't even give up on a piece. Just keep.
Yeah, just keep going. Yes. And Carrie, for sure, chuck it in the bucket. Pardon my language, and God bless you, Carrie, for being so sweet and not actually swearing on the thing. But sometimes you have to say that F word. I just sometimes you just have to say it, and I think that saying is so appropriate. Yeah, yes, I'm nodding. My video is not working. Okay. Oh, I hope you can still hear me though, Nancy, because that's important. If you need, if it doesn't go on for the rest of the night, let me know if you would like me to email you the video, because there will be lots to show in the demonstration. Julianne, hi. It says just let go. Oh my gosh, that's such a good one. In life, I have issues with the term just let go, but not in my creative process. I think life, there's just so much stuff. I think naturally when we're ready, I'm always reflecting back on trees that hold on to leaves all winter long, and they're not ready to let go of the leaves. So I'm like, yes, we just don't have to let go. But the creative process, I think that's key, to just let go and just kind of be present with the moment. I think they're very two different things. So I am nodding as well. Just let go. Get out of my head and get out of my way. For sure. Stepping aside. Yes. And somehow finding the manual key to, and that's what I did in the Camino, honestly, because we had to get out of our albergues. We had to start walking. Like, I mean, there were options, but there really wasn't either. I just had to start walking. I couldn't even sit there and complain about it. You just had to get out on the trail, and just, okay, well, I guess I'm walking. And that's all you need to do. Carry your backpack and walk. And then, have those thoughts in your head, but you're still walking. So definitely getting out of your way and just showing up. So yes, I can see you and hear you. Okay, thanks, Nancy. Awesome. I think I got everyone's little notes. Again, if you wanted to write any of those down, go ahead. I remember that the video of you and the Vixter dancing. Oh my gosh! If anyone hasn't seen that, I documented my trip and and had a little Facebook, and it's still accessible. And we did this like we couldn't walk anymore. I can save this for another time, but it's really a great story. So I'll give you like the 2-minute version instead of the 2-hour. But I had developed blisters like many do, and actually plantar fasciitis. And I think we were 2 weeks in, and I was in pain, literally in pain. None of the band-aids were like holding it together because it was bad stuff. And I sat on this bridge and feeling like we have another 10K to walk, and then 30K the next day and the next day. And it was like, and Vicky was dealing with shin splints and a knee issue. And it was like, and I don't think I was cried, I was too tired to cry, but I was sat on the bridge, and we were completely exhausted. It was really hot. We didn't know how we were going to do this. And I don't know what came about, but I was like, if we can't walk, we can sure as well dance. I dance. I love dancing. So it was like, what was the song? Do you remember, Julianne? It was, I forget. Anyway, it was like she can type it in if she can remember. It wasn't Big Butts, but it was something like really bouncy. And she had her phone on, and we looked up the song and started playing it. And we were dancing, and then this couple walked by and they said, "Hey, what are you doing?" It's like, oh my God, we're in so much pain, but we can dance and we can find joy in dancing. And they ended up videotaping us dancing on the Camino. So it went viral, this little dance. And we had so much fun. We had enough energy after that 5-minute dance of howling and laughing so hard that it took us the next 10K and to our bunk beds. So yes, sometimes you just have to get past fear. How do we grow past fear? How do we do that? What allows us to get in around that fear so we can bloom into our full potential? So here is the quick little exercise. I want you to quick list. And do you remember what quick list is? It's like you want to just dump whatever first comes to mind. Don't overthink it. You just want to like put it on paper. Quick list 6 things you would like to say yes to. What are 6 things in your life that you've been putting off that you want to say yes to? And if you can't think of 6 things, what if your imagination could make up something? Like maybe you want to walk the Camino, or maybe you never even thought of it. And just hearing it tonight, you're intrigued. So write that down. I want to say yes to walking the Camino. So write 6 things. And if you only have a couple, that's okay. It'll only take you a couple of minutes. If you have more than 6, keep writing them. Keep writing them down. Quick list 6 things you would like to say yes to. And it could be anything. My go-to is I really would like to make time to bake a chocolate cake. I love chocolate cake. And I say that all the time. It's not like I get to eat it all the time. But that might be one of those things that you want to say yes to. Yes, I want to bake a chocolate cake. I like the homemade kind. I make it with bananas and cocoa. It's so yummy. Just give you another minute to jot down something you would like to say yes to and haven't yet. Fear is normal in the creative process. And I don't mean just art, anything we are creating, really, whether they're goals, simply acknowledging the fear that it might want to hang out with you, just acknowledge it, but then let's figure out ways to go past it. So tonight exercise isn't focusing on the fear or why it's stopping us. We're just going to actually walk right past it and wait right through it, and see if we can get to the other side. And so the invitation is, I want you to now, with these things, I want you to choose. Pat's just coming in here. So with this list, I want you now to choose one of them and figure out how you would like to grow right past that fear, and actually do something that you've been wanting to say yes to. So you could write it as if you have already done the thing. I want you to feel that, imagine it, be the yes in your world. You could create some poetry. We've done that over the last 10 weeks, some little short stories, a little poem. We've got a beautiful collection of words of, what has helped us walk past that fear, or the qualities that we have gained by showing up for our creative process. So you could do that. But yeah, so choose one of them. And you can even, so like the mountain diagram that I had shared, you might have, the one thing that you want to say yes to. You might include that on, a journey. What got you to where you wanted to go? Again, create it, make it up, right? Imagine that you actually made it happen, and that could be part of your poetry or your little short story. How was it? What did you have to do to grow past that fear to get to where you wanted to go? And by just even saying yes to this thing that you've always been wanting to do, what does that feel like to say yes to that? And then feel what it would feel like to accomplish what it is that you want to accomplish. So reflect on some of those things. And I will give you 5 minutes. Um, of course, if you're totally like into it and we start the art page, you're welcome to continue to write and really meditate with that while the others start their art page. So go ahead and take 5 minutes. Saying yes and growing past fear. And if it's difficult to get started, you could say, today I said yes to, and that could be the invitation to your short story. What qualities come up for you that grant us the ability to live life deeply by saying yes? If we want to grow past our insecurities and into our magnificence, the creative experience is just what our soul ordered. Overcoming each obstacle gifts us with a little more depth of living. Okay, one more minute to finish up there. And of course, if you're deep into exploring what it would feel like to say yes to something that you haven't, um, please feel free to keep writing, or, of course, pick up your writing a little bit later. But the art page that we're going to explore tonight is inspired by spring blossoms, creating an art page to honor our blooming potential. I'm just going to show here on the screen. I remember showing this at the beginning of our journey in art journaling 8 weeks ago or so. Remember where I took flowers and cut them out? I actually made a double page. So these are all separate flowers. And then I created a sky. I actually did some silhouette Zentangle little sprouts growing there. Of course, I'm a big fan of the sun. And then just did these stripes of oranges and yellows and soft pinks. And of course, then I get lots of areas down below that I can write in. Now, if you don't have any floral magazines, just reminding you that we can just even cut out circles. These were circles, and then I used just even cutting out leaf shapes to create a space down below that you can write on, and then using marker to do circles. Also, I wanted to share, and it doesn't have to be floral, right? This is just one suggestion. It could just be leaves and vines or whatever, saying yes and growing past your fears into your full potential, whatever the essence of that is to you. Again, flipping through the magazines, you might see an airplane. An airplane might represent to you growing past, your fear and into your full potential. But because it's spring, I just thought I would use flowers. Can you share your chocolate cake recipe? Yes, I can. It is so good. I will definitely do that. So if you have colored circles, those definitely could represent a cute little floral in a pinch. Yes, and then you could even just use markers on there. Um, there's like a couple of orange ones put together. If anyone follows our Facebook page, Jen posted a really beautiful. She had cut out a vine. I think it was like a grapevine, turned it upside down, and it represent the growth. She cut out leaf shapes out of the magazine, and then she wrote the qualities of her life that she has developed and showing up for art journaling. And she wrote those in the leaves, and she used red, about 3 red colors on top of each other to represent these flowers that were blooming. I also wanted to show the demo that I did on Sunday. I ended up finding this bouquet, and I actually cut the whole bouquet out, and then outlining it became this meditation. And then from the actual page, remember that workshop we did and be inspired by all the colors. So from that floral had these gorgeous grays and pinks. I ended up just cutting leaf shapes from that same page so it complemented color wise. And then I ended up like writing trust, belief, all these different things in my leaves. And then I had journaled the words. What does patience mean to me when I say yes to something that I want to do? So that became part of the journaling. If you wrote a poem or a story, you know the rules. There are no rules. You can definitely invite some of that poetry into your art page. And I love that the floral, I didn't notice this until after I was making it. It had love this on top of the page. So I just, that's one of my favorite things. I have fear and I love that, right? It says I love that. Remember, I think that was in one of our 4th week, how to conquer some of the things that, sort of stop us, and just putting love around it. Oh, I have fear of climbing a mountain and I love that. I have fear that I'm not going to be able to finish my painting today. And I love that, right? It just kind of puts a fun little twist to it. So that's just an example of what I did last week. So instead of actually spending some time on a demo, because you guys are so awesome after 10 weeks of putting things together, I'm going to work away on my screen so you can look up at your own casual time. And as I'm creating live, and intuitively and authentically, whatever comes up for me, I will just talk and share during my process so that you guys can learn from my discoveries while you're diving deep into yours. So does anyone have any questions? We are open for questions. So again, let's do an art page that represents growing past our insecurities, the growth, the growing, the movement in and around and through our insecurities so that we can bloom into our full potential. And what allows you to do that? What has helped you in your creative process? What skills have you developed bringing your poetry and your language all in this, and invite that to show up on your art page this evening. So flipping through magazines, be inspired. And I can't wait to see what everyone creates. If you have any questions, just unmute yourself and ask away, or you can type a little message to me in the chat box. I have found this beautiful vine this time. So I think I might use this as my inspiration. Perhaps instead of cutting out all the detail of the leaves, I might just I'll show you, just simplifying. And it's what I did actually last week. So all this floral, instead of like cutting out all the detail, I just created a leaf shape in and around the florals. And I think it just worked out really nicely. And then that inspired and helped me sort of create then these other leaf shapes. Say that, say that 10 times. Other leaf shapes to complement this this design element. So I included that in. But this time, growing past, I love the idea of that vine growing past our insecurities. I'm going to see where that takes me. I have no idea or no plan to what I'm going to do with it afterwards, but I'm going to create a cutout here. By simplifying the shape, you give opportunity to stop thinking and even cutting out cutting out um, gives an opportunity to meditate in that. Right? The whole process of creating an art page gives us opportunity to learn and grow. See the simple shapes that I've worked around. I've left this sort of pointed. It's white right now, but I'm assuming the background that I paint will be dark, so then that white will actually show up. And again, I'm just sharing what's going on for my mind because I didn't really have a plan, but I love how in grapevines, the little, I don't even know what they're called, but these shoots that reach out and grab a hold of the next vine so that they can continue to climb. I am going to include all of that through my art page, these curly QE vines that are growing and reaching out. I think the analogy of it is fascinating, and I'm excited to incorporate that into my design. There. Even when I was cutting this out, although there wasn't any green there, just to balance it out, I cut out um, the leaf shape pattern just to add some interest over on that side. Now, while I was cutting this out, and again, I'm just sharing as I'm organically creating, sharing what's happening in my head. And I don't know if I'll do this yet, but I'm just going to speak out loud or think out loud so that you can hear. I think I've showed you before. I love the black print on white. I think it can make for a really pretty design and pattern. And so I'm just wondering if I created leaves out of this black and white to sort of be included in this growing piece. I think I just might do that. So again, that's using the same page for inspiration. And then it automatically all works because you know what? The illustrator, the designer has already put in all that time and effort in creating colors that work well together and design elements that work well. So by using everything on this page, it will naturally already sort of work out. So then I'm just adding a few more leaves. I really like that. I'm going to just add a few more in case I choose to add as I go. Now, there's never any rules, but I know I just said but. um, some of you may have heard the rule of odd numbers, and yes, it's a rule, and I usually don't follow rules, but I kind of like odd numbers myself. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 leaves. So I could put 7, I could put 3. Um, oh, this is really nice. Look, and I'm just playing with, patterns. Like, what could I do with this? I had them all spread out, and now they're kind of like all together. I kind of like that too. This one leaf down here, I keep glancing at it and I feel turquoise in there. I know it's green, but I sense like turquoise, and I just found this blue too, and that's really pretty. So this blue might just inform me what I would like to do for maybe the color background. And remember, we can simplify our backgrounds. I know at the beginning of our 10-week, 12-week course, we really dove into being really silly with lots of bold, crazy colors. And as we're heading into our final weeks, just teaching you also that you can gain some beautiful pages, just even simplifying our colors. So I'm just going to take a moment now and decide, do I want leaves cut out of this, or is that just helping me decide what color I want for my background? And I'm going to glue everything first and then paint around it. And you can totally paint the whole page first and then glue. And there's no rhyme or reason for either or. But I think in this case, it will be, I'm going to choose it to be a part of my meditation, painting in and around the cutout design. Instead of just going up and down, I like the idea of sort of following the outline and then filling in the space that way. Playing with the design elements, I'm very aware that I'm in playful mode. I'm not in judgment mode. I'm not going, oh, I don't like that. Oh, this isn't working. Oh, I wish it could be something different. I'm actually just looking and being curious with all my options, and honestly just having fun with changing my mind and going, oh, but maybe I could put it over here. And oh, what does it look like if I play with it here? So just a little something to note. Decided the leaves might be, some of them making them a little smaller. I also like the vine idea that I'm going to draw in. So I'm actually considering making these even smaller and have them attached to the new vine that I'm going to draw in here and maybe make them tiny and growing towards. Ooh, now I'm feeling like maybe the vine will come. Maybe there needs to be a sunburst there. It's one of my favorite symbols. Have the vine growing in and around the sun, perhaps. So I'll set these aside and perhaps use them later. And as always, when I begin to paint, it's not about painting perfectly or, we're not creating art per se. Um, and I just let go, as one of our participants said earlier, letting go of this needing to be an art, a piece of art. I'm just really being playful and meditative in the shape and the movement of my brush rather than worried about that there's paint streaks or markings on here. I feel like for art pages, um, that those marks actually add to my creativity, to the overall piece. So I'm letting that go and just really practicing being in the moment, staying with this brushwork, this brush mark, now this one, now this one. I'm not thinking about the first ones I did and how you can see the lines or that they're not even. I'm staying with each brush stroke as I create it. And as I'm painting the turquoise, I'm feeling I want to bring some green in. So sort of changing the tone of it as I work my way down to the bottom of the page. So I'm going to add some of the lime green and blend it in. Because I can. And as I'm painting, I'm reminding myself of the theme tonight, which is growing past our insecurities. And by repeating those words, gives an opportunity to contemplate what it is I might allow to show up on this art page with words and inspiration. Just gonna take a paper towel. I want to be able to start drawing on this, so rubbing it quickly just to help dry it and smooth out any lumpy paint, which will make it for easy using your gel pens and markers. And testing it, that feels good. Now I could have glued my leaves on at the same time I did the vine, but I chose to glue it after.